All right, guys. Hello from sunny and warm Arizona. Sorry to rub it in. Thought I would channel my inner Lenny Willis and do a little video for you because I've had some questions about the way I've done the roofs on my 91 Rocky SX, also known as body style F300. If you're someone who knows sport tracks or Ferozas better. So I'm going to try to keep this short, but on the hardtop, I really like to drive around without the hardtop on so I can have, open air motoring basically, but the sun in Arizona is so hot that you really need to have some kind of shade there. And I struggled with a couple of different kinds of designs. Ultimately, what I used was window screening, that is sunshade screening, which is more heavy duty, and you can get it like in 80% or 90% shading, and people put it on their windows in Arizona to keep the hot sun out. So what I did was I took a piece and cut it to size, and I mounted it on a piece of, this is just screen window framing that you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. And it fits actually really nicely in what I guess is kind of a channel where the clips are, where the hardtop, clips in. So I wanted to not modify anything and try to engineer it to fit to what was already on the Rocky, not have to disrupt it too much. So anyway, what's neat about this is you can slide it in there, and it fits under both clips, and this is heavy duty screening, and it doesn't tear or anything, and it actually does really well in the wind, and it's minimal wind noise. And then in the back, I attached it to a piece of just tubular aluminum that I found like from an old sunbrella, like a patio umbrella, and put some grommets in the screening and put it on with zip ties. And so basically then I suspend this with short bungees to the roof rack that I put on the Rocky. And then when I want to, if I'm out and I want to expose it to myself to more sunlight, I can take this off of here, these clips off, and just roll up the canopy, and it'll sit right here in a rolled up form. And I keep some little rubber bands in the cockpit, and I put them around here, and it just stays right there. When I want to have some shade, then I just unfurl it and hook it back up here, and it's kind of suspended in midair, and it's taut, and so it bounces a little bit in the wind, but really not too much. And this thing has stayed pretty sturdy. I haven't had any problems with it. Now on the back, one thing I decided when I was going to buy into the Rocky was I wanted to have it as an open air vehicle 100% of the time. And so I took off the hardtop, which is in good shape actually. My glass is good. My pop out clips are good. But I wanted to have some shade in the back because my kids ride with me a lot. And I think I'm going to have somebody fabricate something for me in aluminum or steel or something to make it more sturdy. But here's what I've done for now, and it's held up for about a year, and it's actually pretty good, is took a 2x4. I've got it covered in what's known as gaffer's tape because I do some audio visual work with my job, and stuff's plentiful, and it's sturdy. You could just paint or stain the wood if you wanted to, but I don't work in metal. I'm not a welder, and so I kind of used what I had. And I attached this to the points where the hardtop is secured to the Rocky with some metric bolts. I forget the size. I could find it if I need to. And just attached at 3 points, this 2x4 that I cut down a little bit here. And that creates a flat surface for me to mount this cargo box to. And this is just a crappy 2-piece cargo box you can buy at Walmart actually. And then you can see I put the sunshade material on here as well. It's kind of dusty right now, but it actually has held up really well. It keeps the sun off the passengers in the back, and if we do get some light rain, it actually keeps them dry back there as well. Now in the back, this is the part that I think came out pretty good, is there's the factory roll bar, and if you have a hardtop, you'll know that there are 2 little L-shaped clips that mount underneath, and they actually are supposed to stick forward and up, and there's a mounting point inside the resin hardtop that you mount the hardtop to for stability there, to mount it to the roll bar. Well, I just turned them around and I mounted them the other way. You can see them in there, and so they're mounted kind of backwards, but it's no big deal because there's actually a little opening in the cover to the roll bar. So I mounted it backwards, and then I mounted another piece of lumber on the facing of that to create a a level surface to put this cargo rack on. So from here over to here, and it's not quite level. I got it as close as I could. And so there's 2 anchor points back here where I've got this mounting system, and then there's just little like cable clamps or C-clamps that I found at Lowe's or Home Depot, and that's how I put it on there. So that's, for people who are asking about my cargo rack, that's how it's mounted up there. And it actually came out pretty good, and I like it because it gives the Rocky a little bit higher, profile when it's coming at you. It kind of reminds me of how like a Nissan Xterra looks. It's got that that rack up top with the the flat plastic piece up here, the fairing, I guess they call that. And this, I've put a spare tire up here before and carried it around. And these, again, I could have gotten a better cargo rack, I think, somewhere, just off of Craigslist. But this was the size that I wanted. It wasn't too long that if I mounted it, it wouldn't stick way back out here. And then I didn't want it to obviously come over top of the, the Targa top area. So this was a good size, and it was, fairly inexpensive. So I went ahead and tried it. At some point I may beef this up. And like I said, I found a guy who could do some fabrication for me on the cheap. And I may go back and ask him to make me, some tubular aluminum or steel mounts, or, some other way of doing it. But really, it's holding up fine. I have to tighten these up every once in a while. But overall, that's how I do my roof. And for not having really parts available, as we all know, for Rockies or F300s, I think it came out pretty good, and it works well for me in Arizona because I never want to put the top back on if I don't have to, because I've got it out in the desert and I want to enjoy the weather. So, I've got covering for the top, and I could, if I wanted to have light coming in here for whatever reason, I could just take off this material. And then here, sometimes if it's really cold, and I mean really cold, like in the 40s or 50s in Arizona, I'll put the, I've got the resin, the center hard top here, which needs to be repainted, I guess. But I use it so seldom. So there's the middle roof, and then here's the back roof over here. And again, it's faded. And I think if I ever have to move someplace where I put it on, or it becomes my singular vehicle and I have to have it on all the time, I'll probably paint this, get it painted the same color, the same red color as the body, or the maroon color. And I think that'll look pretty cool up top. But for now, that's how I do it. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm sorry this was so long.